And showtime! Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network, also a co-host of this program. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by your other co-host, Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Rich. How are you? I'm doing well, but I think you're doing better than me, at least from one perspective, from a travel perspective. I still have one more trip I have to make to speak at a conference this year before year end. But your outlook is a little different, isn't it?
It is, and I will say, I got home as we're recording this. I got home last night at about 10 p.m. following an almost uninterrupted month on the road. There was a vacation in there, so it wasn't all work. But I've barely been home the last month, and now I am staying home through January at this point forward. And so it felt pretty good to sleep in my own bed last night, and I'm sure I will get restless for the road before too long. But right now, it's feeling pretty good to spend a little time here in Seattle.
Yeah, recharge and get ready for a big 2023.
Absolutely, and same for you. You've got another trip to go. I know you are recovering from a bit of a cold, but so you need to rest up and recharge too.
Yep, that's what happens when when you don't travel for a while and then you start traveling again, and all of a sudden you pick up these little bugs. So, yep, just getting over a head cold, but 99% toward the good now. Feeling good.
Sounding and looking good. So let's dive into our top story this week, Eric. And this is actually I'm following up on a conversation I had with the very recently appointed CEO of Axcient and their vice president of product. Last week, I was at a number of conferences last week, including ConnectWise's IT Nation Connect event in Orlando, and had a chance to meet with the folks from Axcient. We spoke about a number of different things, but during that show, they actually published some research that they recently did. Axcient went out with assistance from Channelnomics. They spoke to 300 MSPs about a number of things related to backup and disaster recovery, which is what Axcient obviously does. Came up with some interesting data here that I thought would be good for us to talk about a little bit, and probably didn't get as much attention as it deserved. So they went out to, and among many other things, they asked the MSPs in this survey, how many BDR platforms do you support for your clients? And I should say right up front, 45% of the MSPs in the survey said, ideally, the answer to that question would be one. It would be a lot easier, a lot more efficient for them if they were really only supporting one platform. 90% of them, though, have more than one. And the average respondent in this survey has 3. And I'll pass this along anecdotally as well, Eric. It wasn't actually in the research study, but when I was discussing the study with the Axcient executives, they said they have a partner. They didn't name the partner, but one of their partners supports, get this, 25 different BDR platforms. And, there are reasons why you wind up having more than one. And it can be a customer who doesn't want to switch. It can be a use case that maybe your preferred platform doesn't support. There are reasons why this happens, Eric. But part of why I bring this up is because I do kind of want to get your take on this, truly from an efficiency standpoint, from an overhead standpoint, in terms of your ability to grow the business. When we at ChannelPro look at the fastest growing, most profitable, most successful MSPs out there, one of the things they tend to do is standardize. And that includes standardize in the area of BDR. And so it is not great news that the average MSP, according to this study, is supporting 3 different BDR platforms right now.
Yeah, and it's that nasty 6-letter word sprawl, right? Vendor sprawl, service sprawl, solution sprawl. And I'll add a couple of factors to what we typically find that kind of, ends up creating this plethora of solutions for channel pros and MSPs. Yes, you named a couple. Hey, we're entering into a new relationship with a client. They've invested in something, or they recently invested in something, and now we have to battle that objection that says, well, we just paid X for this, or we're paying for this. You want us to switch and pay more, or we're under an agreement, this or that. I mean, there's some tactics that we like to borrow from the cell phone industry that says, look, if you let us swap this out, we'll credit you back over 36 months, something, meet us halfway so we can actually standardize. And maybe there's some legacy things in our solution stack, that we're using for maybe lower cost, tiers of services for clients. So that could also add, like, we have a low cost option, but then when we go to our better or best tiers, we actually, deliver a more standardized, a little bit more costly type of a service for us. So there are those types of things. And then there's also the reality that we're moving rapidly, much more rapidly than we ever have before, toward the cloud. And we've got some legacy. We may be happy with our standardization of our legacy BDR platforms, but now we've got to make sure that we're delivering data loss protection for these cloud workloads with these different applications and different platforms. And now we tend to feel that maybe our existing solution that we've standardized on doesn't really support that as well as we would like, or there are other solutions that do that much, much better. And I think, Rich, that vendors are catching up. I'm seeing them evolve and try to catch up and add these heightened cloud capabilities and things like that so that partners can standardize on. So it's the sprawl that we've got to contain and maintain. And, until a partner really gets to a point where they feel they've got a perfect solution, which doesn't exist, but, better than what they've got, that kind of does a good job for both on-prem and cloud, then we're going to continue to have this. And then, of course, they have to migrate their existing clients over to that new solution, which is time-consuming, costly, and painful, and typically more on the provider's dime because, they're trying to convince their clients to move to this new solution and trying to get them to say yes without asking for more money. So, it's a challenging process, and BDR isn't the only solution that providers face this dilemma with.
Now, I mean, I think you did a great job there of outlining how painful, this can be, at least from a temporary standpoint. But am I right in saying this is something that an MSP really should consider doing? It's probably going to be worth, in the long run, putting themselves through that process, given the bottom line benefits of standardizing.
I mean, absolutely. Ultimately, the only way to grow profits from a long-term existing agreement is to increase your efficiencies and to lower your costs. So the less sprawl we have, the more efficient we are. The more we get clients to agree to our standardized set of solutions, the more efficient we are. I mean, remember, I'm a recovering MSP. We were one of the tip of the spear MSPs at the very beginning of this movement. And we were supporting all these different services and solutions until we learned, and matured to a point. And there were vendor services and solutions that were friendly for MSPs over time that allowed us to consolidate and standardize over time. And it's a never-ending process. It is a never-ending process. It's a continual improvement strategy as you try to get your clients that, cost you the most money or at the most risk or put you at the most risk, to try to get them into your box of services and solutions as much as possible. And then, work your way down that stack. So it's always a constant, process of having strategic meetings with clients to get them to say yes to something that allows you to provide them better support, better continuity, better security, higher efficiency, and better reporting. That's the other thing. When you've got all this sprawl going on, you've got different reports from different BDRs and things like that. How do it takes you so much more time to consolidate the data that you want to have before you have your strategic meetings and you're working through, technology road mapping with clients. It adds so much more additional labor. And that's the biggest cost that we're battling as service providers.
Let's move on to your tip of the week, Eric. And, it may have been too long since some folks in our audience have taken a look at their BDR solutions that they're offering. But your tip of the week has to do with something else that it may have been too long since some folks in our audience have thought about.
Absolutely, Rich. Nice way to tee it up. So here's the rhetorical question. When's the last time you revised your marketing material, your marketing message, the content on your website, heck, even the theme of your website? If you're running your business with the same marketing message and content from 3 years ago, well, guess what? You're 2000 late. You need to look at what you're delivering from a marketing message, make sure that it aligns with the things that you are now delivering to what today's post-pandemic business owners are investing in. And we talk about this all the time, Rich, on this program. They're investing in cybersecurity. They're investing in cloud migration and cloud support. They're investing in remote workforce, hybrid workforce support. So are you adjusting your marketing message, your website for SEO? What are these folks searching for? And is your site and your marketing message aligning with that? And as a result, your sales process is being adjusted to support those conversations. Cybersecurity is the number one concern of business owners today and anyone that's in charge of cybersecurity, obviously. So are we leading with that? And, on a side note, are we also reviewing our marketing material and our website and our agreements to reduce our own risk by eliminating things or statements that sound kind of like this, Rich? Hey, we take care of your entire infrastructure so you can sleep good at night. We take care of your cybersecurity so you can sleep better at night. Those are very, very risky statements. And I know because I work with a lot of partners that, unfortunately, a few of them have been dragged into court when there has been a failure, a breach, something that has caused a business interruption, and they now have to defend that, right? So we have to be very, very clear about how we're messaging and what we're saying to clients and what's in our agreements, and be very specific that we deliver these enhanced cybersecurity services to help meet your regulatory compliance requirements or to help meet your cyber liability insurance policy requirements. We're delivering these very specific services, but we're not taking care of everything and opening ourselves up for that, potential risk when something bad happens. So update marketing messaging, marketing collateral, your website. 2023 is coming up fast. What is it? 6 weeks away?
Yeah.
Right, Rich? I mean, look at the calendar. So now's the time to reinvent, reimagine, reposition yourself with your marketing message and get after it and focus on those clients that are investing in those services, and make sure that you're bundling and pricing those services and solutions at a healthy margin, 60% or more, and going after those A clients. You'll accept B clients and you'll turn away those C customers that don't fit in because they don't agree or will subscribe to your minimum service requirements, including your minimum cybersecurity requirements. So tip of the week for today, Rich.
And you know what, Eric, you actually snuck, I would argue, 2 tips in there, and they're both good ones. And so first of all, I'll just say it is a sad commentary on the world that you need to run your marketing copy past an attorney these days, but that's kind of the reality. And I think it's a very important, somewhat underappreciated issue, that it's really easy to overpromise in your marketing materials and get yourself into trouble. And I have heard stories too about MSPs being dragged into court because of something that felt like marketing rhetoric and actually got them into trouble. So you do need to be careful about what you are promising to do, even just in advertising on your website, et cetera. And it's absolutely not a bad idea at all to get an attorney involved there and make sure that you're not promising more than anyone reasonably can deliver, making a promise that's going to get you in trouble. But then obviously the other thing is just keeping your marketing materials fresh. They can get stale fairly quickly in the world of technology, where things are changing continually and fairly rapidly. The other thing that popped into my head as you were talking, Eric, is I really hope most of the people who are watching or listening to this right now have marketing materials. You know what I mean? Referrals are awesome, but that really shouldn't be the only form of marketing that you're doing. So I do hope that people take their website seriously as a marketing vehicle, that they're thinking about something like SEO, which you mentioned, that they have other marketing materials. You really do need those. And yeah, absolutely. Don't let don't go 2 years basically before you go back and revisit your messaging. And by all means, consider being rigorous about studying what messages, what materials are more effective than others, because the more you can learn about what works, that's what you want to do more of.
And you're right, Rich. And what's nice about, where we are today, there are so many resources for partners. There's so many experts in marketing specifically for MSPs and creating those messages and designing those websites. I mean, when I had my MSP, we had none of that, right? And I got to tell you, it was bad. Our website was bad, our marketing was bad, right? Because hey, we're engineers, we're service providers. So reach out and get the help you need. Don't think that you have to go it alone. There's lots of really great resources and strategic partners available today that can help you with that. So don't think like this is another thing you got to put on your plate. Just if you don't have the time, if you don't have the expertise, just reach out. And of course, like you say, Rich, if you don't have any of it, there's never a better time to start than now.
All right. Well, important advice. It leaves us with time for just one more story this week. And, I have a lot of earbuds, Eric, of various kinds, and they're, some in the laptop bag and some in the suitcase and some on my desk right here in Seattle. They are notoriously easy to lose, obviously. But here's a story about somebody who lost an earbud in a place I would not have considered possible to lose an earbud. This concerns someone named Wallace Lee of Weymouth, Dorset in the UK, who thought for some time that he was losing his hearing. Basically, he was very disturbed that he might be going deaf. And I guess I'm assuming he wasn't able to get a lot of assistance from a doctor in figuring this out, although given what I'm about to tell you, it's sort of hard to imagine a doctor wouldn't have figured this out. Instead of going to a doctor, maybe what Wallace Lee of Weymouth did was go get himself a home endoscope kit so that he could look inside his ear and see if he could figure out why he couldn't hear in that ear any longer. And gosh darn it, what he discovered was a little piece of an earbud that he had purchased 5 years earlier for a family trip to Australia. He was going to be on the plane. He bought himself some earbuds to block out the noise on the plane, and I guess the rubber tip or something like that didn't come out with this thing, and it was in there for 5 years, Eric.
That is crazy. So, I mean, that's happened to me, but I know when the earbud, when that little tip detaches and it's still there, you kind of get it out. And, I do have one of those home endoscope things. You get them on Amazon, but I use it for like working on the car and stuff. It's cool. You can snake the camera down and it works on your mobile phone and it gives you an image and all that. But, that's interesting that he went to that effort, instead of just going in to see a doctor, like you say, and say, hey, doc, can you take a look inside my ear?
Yeah, I think I can diagnose this problem. It's the earbud that's been in your ear for 5 years. Kind of incredible.
Yep.
Well, folks, that is all the time we have for you this week. We thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back again next week for the Thanksgiving edition of the 5-Minute Roundup. You know what, folks? We are both a podcast and a video these days. If you are watching the video, but you're into podcasts, you're going to find us wherever it is you get your podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Apple. Look for us there. Subscribe, rate, review. We would very much appreciate it. So would your peers. It's going to make it easier for them to find the show. If you are listening to the podcast, but you're curious to check us out on video, best thing to do is go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube. Once again, you can subscribe. There's a little bell icon there. If you click it, you'll even get notified when the new episodes go up. You want to read more of our coverage from events like IT Nation Connect and coverage of research and BDR and get great business growth advice for your company, please visit channelpronetwork.com every day, because we have got great new content for you there every day. You want to learn more about Eric and the work he does with his clients, you want to go to ericksimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, folks, we thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be back again next week with another episode. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.